The starship descended slowly through the violet clouds of the alien world, its engines humming softly like a quiet warning. Captain Marcus Dane, the human husband, felt a strange mix of fear and excitement as he looked through the viewport. Below him stretched a land of glowing forests and floating mountains, the air shimmered with colors he had never seen, and strange creatures moved in the distance, their forms half visible, almost like living shadows. Marcus had come to this world not as a conqueror, but as a guest of the ruling alien princess, Celera, a being of grace and power whose people were known across galaxies for their unmatched strength and skill in combat. As the shuttle touched down on a crystalline platform, Marcus took a deep breath, gripping the railing, knowing that everyone on this planet would judge him from the very first moment. When the hatch opened, a wave of warm, fragrant air filled the cabin, and Marcus stepped onto the platform, his boots clicking against the smooth surface. He saw the princess waiting for him, her eyes a sharp violet, her armor shimmering like liquid metal. Celera's gaze was cold and calculating, her expression unreadable, but Marcus could feel the unspoken thought, "This human looks weak, almost pathetic compared to my people." The alien court surrounded them, warriors taller and stronger than any human, their movements precise, almost rehearsed, their eyes curious and cautious. Marcus bowed politely, trying to appear confident, but he could feel the weight of their judgment. Whispers passed among the crowd, voices that Marcus could not understand, yet their meaning was clear. Suspicion and doubt filled the air. Celera's voice rang out, musical yet commanding, "Welcome to Veora, Marcus Dane, the human who dares to walk among us." The crowd fell silent, their eyes fixed on him. Marcus nodded, forcing a smile, feeling the sweat forming on his brow. He noticed Celera's hand resting on the hilt of her sword, a subtle warning that she expected strength, courage, or perhaps failure. He was led through the palace halls, walls made of shimmering crystal, light bending and twisting in impossible ways. Marcus could not help but feel small, insignificant in this world of giants. He watched Celera move ahead, her every step graceful, commanding. She seemed untouchable, untamed, her laughter echoing faintly as she glanced back at him, a small smirk on her lips, mocking, teasing. In the training arena, Marcus saw warriors sparring with deadly precision, swords clashing, energy whips cutting the air. It was a ballet of power and skill. He felt out of place, clumsy, a human among gods. The princess observed him, her gaze sharp, almost hungry. Marcus swallowed hard. He knew that any mistake here could humiliate him. Suddenly, a young alien warrior approached Marcus, bowing slightly. "You must learn the ways of Veora, human, or you will not survive here." Marcus nodded, trying to mask his nervousness. As he followed the young warrior, he felt the weight of a strange sword strapped to his back. It was simple, humble, yet he hoped it would be enough. As the sun set behind floating mountains, the sky turned orange and violet. Marcus gazed at the horizon, a mix of fear and determination rising inside him. He knew that the journey ahead would test him, not just in strength, but in courage, in heart. The princess's laughter echoed in his mind. Weak human, she had called him, and somehow, he knew that proving her wrong would be his first battle. The palace gates closed behind him, and Marcus Dane took a deep breath, ready to step into a world that judged him as weak, yet waiting for the moment when he would show them all that even a human could rise. The next morning, Marcus Dane woke to the hum of the palace, the walls glowing faintly with a soft blue light. He dressed quickly, his human clothes feeling oddly heavy compared to the flowing garments of the aliens. Today was his first day in the royal court, and he could feel the weight of every pair of alien eyes on him. Princess Celera awaited him in the grand hall, her violet eyes sharp, studying him with a mixture of amusement and skepticism. "Good morning, human," she said, her voice dripping with mock politeness. "I hope you are ready to survive among my people." Marcus bowed, trying to hide his unease, but he could feel the warmth of embarrassment creeping up his neck. The court gathered around, warriors and nobles, their eyes cold and calculating. Celera raised her hand, and the chatter stopped instantly. "Let us see if our human guest can handle a simple task," she said, gesturing toward a long training arena filled with floating platforms, energy blades, and targets that moved unpredictably. Marcus swallowed hard. The challenge was already beyond his experience. He stepped forward, gripping the simple sword strapped to his back. It felt light in his hands, but compared to the alien weapons, it was almost comical. Celera watched him with a small smirk, whispering to a nearby warrior, "This human has no chance." Marcus could hear it, and though it stung, he kept his focus. The first task was simple for the aliens: strike the moving targets with precise sword strikes, energy arcs forming as they hit. But for Marcus, even stepping on the moving platforms felt like a test of balance. He swung his sword, hitting one target, then missing the next. The aliens chuckled quietly, and Solara's laughter rang clear, sharp, mocking. "Pathetic," she said. "Is this what you call skill?" Marcus's face burned, yet he refused to step back. He adjusted his stance, recalling every lesson he had learned on Earth about patience, timing, and observation. Slowly, carefully, he hit another target, then another, his movements not elegant, but effective. He could feel the eyes on him, some curious, some doubtful, and Solara's smirk widened, thinking she had seen enough. During a break, Solara approached him, her steps light but firm. "Tell me, human," she said softly, her eyes narrowing, "do you truly believe you can survive in my world?" Marcus met her gaze, feeling a spark of courage. "I may be weak, princess, but I do not give up easily," he said, his voice steady despite the fear. Solara's smirk faltered slightly, a flicker of surprise passing through her eyes. The court resumed, and Marcus continued the exercises, each strike more confident than the last, yet every mistake drew laughter and whispers. The mockery cut deep, but also sharpened his determination. He noticed minor weaknesses in the alien movements, patterns that a human mind might exploit, small openings that could turn the tide if he had the courage to act. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the palace, Solara summoned Marcus to the center of the arena, her expression unreadable. "You have done well enough for a human," she said, her voice still tinged with sarcasm. "But remember, this is only the beginning. One mistake, and you will prove every doubt right." Marcus nodded silently, feeling the weight of her words, understanding that the real test was yet to come. The princess turned, her cloak flowing behind her like liquid metal, and walked away, leaving Marcus standing alone, breathing heavily, the laughter of the court fading behind him. Yet a quiet fire burned within him, a promise to himself that he would survive, and perhaps, one day, show the alien princess that a human could be far stronger than she had imagined. The evening stars appeared over the floating mountains, and Marcus Dane knew that this world would be unforgiving, yet he was ready to face every challenge, every mockery, every test, because even a human could rise when courage and heart guided the sword. The next morning, Marcus Dane was led to a vast training arena, the ground glowing with shifting energy patterns. The platforms floated high above a pit of swirling light. Alien warriors moved with effortless grace, their swords flashing like streaks of lightning. Marcus gripped his own simple sword tightly, feeling its weight in his hands. Princess Solara watched from a high balcony, her violet eyes scanning him carefully. "This will be your true test, human," she called down, her voice carrying across the arena. "Survive this, and perhaps you will earn a shred of respect." Marcus nodded silently, his heart pounding, knowing that failure here could mean humiliation or worse. The first challenge was simple in appearance but deadly in execution. Marcus had to strike targets while navigating floating platforms, each step unstable, each swing demanding perfect timing. The alien warriors had done it hundreds of times, their movements natural, flowing, but Marcus had to force himself to balance, calculate, and act. He stepped forward, the platform beneath him shifting slightly, and he nearly lost his footing. Catching himself just in time, the sword felt awkward, his movements clumsy, yet he remembered his Earth training, his focus sharpened. He aimed for the first target and struck, energy flaring as his sword connected. A cheer rose from a few curious aliens. Solara's smirk remained, though her eyes narrowed slightly. "Not bad for a human," she said, the mockery still in her tone, but Marcus felt a flicker of pride. He pressed on, jumping from one platform to another, his timing imperfect, but his determination unyielding. He hit target after target, sometimes missing, sometimes succeeding, each hit a small victory. Suddenly, one platform tilted sharply, and Marcus stumbled, nearly falling into the glowing pit below. A gasp ran through the crowd, his heart raced, yet he caught the edge with his free hand, swinging his sword instinctively at the nearest target, striking it cleanly. The alien audience murmured in surprise, even some of the warriors looking impressed. The princess leaned forward slightly, her curiosity piqued. "Interesting," she muttered, watching him closely. Marcus's confidence grew, not arrogance, but steady, focused determination. He moved faster, thinking smarter, observing the patterns of the platforms and the targets, a human mind finding openings where alien instincts expected none. One final target remained, floating at the far end of the arena, its energy glowing brighter than the rest. Marcus took a deep breath, steadying himself. He leapt across a wide gap, sword raised, and struck perfectly. Energy arcs danced around him, and for a brief moment, the arena fell silent, then a murmur of approval spread among the audience. Solara's eyes widened slightly, the smirk fading. "Perhaps there is more to you than I thought, human," she said, her voice softer now, curiosity replacing some of her scorn. Marcus lowered his sword, breathing heavily, sweat dripping down his face. He had survived the first test, he had shown courage, cleverness, and determination. Even the minor warriors whispered among themselves, "The human, he is stronger than we expected." And Marcus realized something important. It was not the sword alone, not the alien strength, but his mind, heart, and courage that had carried him through. For the first time, he felt a spark of true belonging in this alien world. As the sun set, painting the floating mountains in shades of violet and gold, Marcus Dane stood in the arena, exhausted but triumphant. The princess turned away, her expression unreadable, yet he could feel that something inside her had shifted. A quiet respect, though unspoken, had begun to form, the first step of many, toward proving that even a human could rise in a world of gods. The peaceful morning was shattered by alarms that echoed through the palace, a deep, throbbing sound that made the crystal walls vibrate. Marcus Dane felt his heart leap. Something dangerous was coming. Warriors rushed past him, weapons drawn, and the floating mountains outside glowed red with incoming fire. Princess Celera appeared immediately, her violet eyes sharp and commanding. "Marcus, stand with me," she ordered, and for the first time, he saw urgency, fear, and challenge all mixed in her gaze. The alien world was under attack, but it was not a simple raid. A fleet of shadowy ships descended, bristling with strange weapons and energy shields. The invaders moved with deadly precision. Marcus gripped his sword tightly, feeling its simple weight, his mind racing. He had trained, but nothing could fully prepare a human for an alien war. The palace defenders formed a wall of energy and steel, Celera beside him, her sword glowing with violet power. She glanced at him quickly. "Do not hesitate, human, or we fall." Marcus nodded, though fear clawed at him. The first wave struck, monstrous creatures leaping onto the platforms, their claws glowing with energy. Alien warriors engaged them immediately, swords flashing. Marcus moved forward, his steps cautious but determined. He blocked an attack with his sword, the force sending him backward, but he quickly recovered, striking at the nearest creature, his aim not perfect, yet effective. Celera fought with unmatched speed and precision, and Marcus noticed her glancing at him, watching how he moved, testing his courage. She moved around him like a shadow, cutting through the enemies, and he realized that the real challenge was not just survival, but proving himself worthy in her eyes. A massive creature lunged toward Marcus, faster than he expected, and he barely parried its strike, staggering under the force. His sword clanged against its claws, sparks flying, yet he did not fall. He adapted, ducking and rolling, striking its exposed side. The creature howled and retreated, some of the aliens whispering in surprise. He survived. He struck back. The invaders pushed harder, shadowy ships firing beams at the palace. Explosions lit the sky, and Marcus realized this was more than a test. It was life and death. Yet something inside him rose, courage, determination, and sharp thinking combined. He dodged, leapt, and struck, finding small openings in the enemy's formations, patterns that his human mind saw while the aliens relied on instinct. Celera noticed this, a flicker of admiration in her eyes, yet her voice remained stern. "Marcus, focus. Strike where they least expected." He nodded, weaving between energy blasts, his sword moving almost instinctively, and slowly, surely, the tide began to shift, the invaders faltering against this unexpected human strategy. As the battle reached its peak, Marcus faced a massive enemy commander, its armor glowing dark, its power immense, and he felt fear grip him, yet he remembered every lesson, every challenge he had faced since arriving. He drew a deep breath and stepped forward, eyes locked on the commander, ready to strike, ready to prove himself. The palace trembled with the force of the battle, shadows and light flashing across the walls. Marcus's courage shone brighter than any alien energy, and for the first time, Celera truly paused, watching the human beside her with a mixture of awe and disbelief. He was no longer the weak figure she had mocked, he was a force, a human rising against impossible odds. As the sun set behind the floating mountains, the first wave of invaders fell back, retreating into the shadows, and Marcus Dane, breathing heavily, standing beside Princess Celera, knew that the real test had begun, the one that would decide if a human could truly earn respect in a world of warriors. The battlefield was quiet now, but the tension hung heavy in the air. Marcus Dane gripped his sword tightly, its simple metal gleaming under the alien sun. Before him stood the invader commander, massive, dark, and pulsing with energy, its eyes like burning coals, the palace behind him shaken, yet intact. Celera stood at his side, silent, her violet eyes fixed on the human she had once mocked. "Human," she said, her voice low, almost a whisper, "this is the moment." Marcus nodded, feeling the weight of every doubt, every sneer she had cast upon him, yet he did not waver. He had trained, survived tests, endured mockery, and now, it was time to prove that a human could rise where others would fall. The commander lunged first, its claws swinging like lightning. Marcus rolled to the side, barely avoiding the strike. Sparks flew as his sword clanged against its armor. He moved with speed and precision he did not know he possessed, instincts honed from fear and determination guiding him. The invader roared, powerful and terrifying, yet Marcus did not retreat. He advanced, finding openings in the enemy's defenses. Celera watched in silence, amazement slowly replacing doubt. Marcus struck again, his sword cutting through the energy shield of the invader, not perfectly, but effectively. The commander faltered, surprised at the human's audacity. Marcus's heart pounded, sweat dripped down his brow, yet he felt calm, focused, every motion a dance of courage and skill. He leapt onto the floating platforms, dodging blasts of energy, each swing of his sword precise, calculated, and the invader stumbled, confusion flashing in its burning eyes. Marcus saw his chance. He drew a deep breath and charged, striking the commander's side with full force, the sword slicing through the alien armor, sparks flying. The commander screamed, staggering back. The alien warriors cheered, some in disbelief, some in admiration. Celera herself stepped forward, her expression softening. "I underestimated you, human," she admitted, her voice carrying across the battlefield. Marcus did not pause, knowing this was his moment, one strike more, one final push, to prove that even a human could stand among gods. He leapt high, the wind whistling past him, sword raised, and with a single, powerful swing, he struck the invader's chest, energy exploding in a brilliant flash. The commander fell, defeated, the shadowy ships retreating in confusion. The battlefield quieted, victory secured. Marcus's chest heaved with exhaustion and pride. Celera stepped beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder, her violet eyes filled with respect. "You have shown courage, strength, and wisdom," she said softly, "qualities I did not expect from a human." Marcus nodded, humbly, feeling a warmth he had never known. The princess who once mocked him now stood beside him as an equal. The palace guards and alien warriors approached, cheering, some clapping him on the back, others bowing in respect. Marcus smiled, knowing he had earned his place in this world, not by birth, but by heart, courage, and determination. He had proven that even a human could rise above expectations. As the sun set over the floating mountains, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold, Marcus Dane looked at Princess Celera, no longer the mocking figure, but an ally, perhaps a friend, perhaps more. He had survived, he had triumphed, and the simple human sword he carried had become a symbol of his strength and spirit. The alien princess finally smiled, a rare and genuine smile, and Marcus knew that the journey was far from over, yet he had earned something priceless: respect, honor, and the knowledge that even in a world of gods, a human could shine.